Hello, and welcome to Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better. And if not, more cross-dressy.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 80s.
On this episode, just one of the guys from 1985.
I'm Emma, and this is the perfect end to my day. It's as if women's live never existed.
I'm Anders, and all balls itch. It's a fact. Basketballs, footballs,
Balls.
those squishy, what are they called? Ooh, koosh ball. Did you ever have a koosh ball? You know? A koosh.
Like kush?
Do you ever get that koosh? You know, that good...
A dank kush ball?
If we were on those panel shows where it's like B-list celebrities touching stuff from the 90s or whatever and saying like, well, I used to have one of these. If we were on one of those shows, I'd be holding a koosh ball.
I have no idea what a kush ball is.
Imagine like a rubber ball the size of, I don't know, like a golf ball. But it's soft and it's just completely covered in long strings of rubbery, thin pasta-like things. I'm sending you a picture
I think
of a
I get
koosh
what
ball,
that is.
I don't think that's a terrible. I've like just described it semi-terribly.
Let me see if we have a word for what it is. Okay, how do you spell it? Koosh ball.
K-O-O-S-H.
Yeah. Okay, we would have called that probably a pom-pom ball, I think.
That's exactly what British people would call a koosh ball. Of course you can. Of course you would call it that. You wouldn't call it a thing. You'd be going, oh, throw me the pom-pom ball. Oh, it's so squishy, right? Oh, I lost it down the gutter.
A pom-pom ball, or maybe like a puffer ball?
Puffer.
Like a puffer fish.
Yeah.
I think I would have called that a pom-pom ball. If British people, if you Google pom-pom ball or koosh ball, K-O-O-S-H ball, then you'll get the thing. I definitely had one of those, and I remember I'd always try and like ping off the little bits.
Mm-hmm,
you know, you'd like. That's a good like sensory toy, actually.
I know.
Maybe I should get one.
I wonder if
should I get one?
Yeah, you should get one. Side note: I'm also thinking about getting some Crocs, but that's less about being mindful and more about just being comfy, which is important. You know?
Okay. I mean, we have been talking about Crocs for a while.
I know. We've been talking about Crocs for a long time.
We have been talking about Crocs for a while. Can I get some Crocs and stick some koosh balls on the toes, like little, like little slippers when you have pom-poms on them?
Ooh, yeah. I really like that.
Now that's fashion, people.
Well, and yeah, maybe they make koosh ball gibbets, you know?
Yes.
Which
koosh ball earrings.
Yeah. Koosh ball.
Like little space boppers.
Yeah, right up on top. So
yeah.
You can just wiggle them around. I really like that. And I really like reminiscing about koosh balls. At some point, we're going to probably have to talk about a movie that has nothing to do with koosh balls, but definitely has to do with Gender.
It's society's koosh ball, which is the gender binary. Okay, just one of the guys. I had never heard of this movie. Had you?
Yeah, I think I don't know if I've ever seen it. I thought I had, and then halfway through I was like, I don't think I've seen this movie before, but I was aware of its presence in the universe. I could sense it.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think this is one that is very well known.
No, definitely not.
It's a story which might feel somewhat familiar. The main character is Terry Griffith, played by Joyce Heiser, and Terry is a teenager, surprise, who aspires to be a journalist. She's at school and she writes an article and submits it to a competition and does not get through.
Nope.
And she decides that's because she's a woman. The evidence that would lead us to agree with her is that we see the sort of, I guess, teachers who would judge the competition speaking about her in a very sexual and inappropriate way.
They say they should hold her back another year so that they can continue to ogle her with their eyes. Like that's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah. What she also has this kind of pretty douchey boyfriend.
Oh, the worst.
A very sexually obsessed younger brother.
The horniest.
The horniest brother in the world. And a friend called Denise. she decides to dress up as a boy and go to a different school, transfer to a different school, and essentially submit her article again as a boy and see if there's a different outcome. Instead, what happens is the article actually doesn't get submitted. However, she does receive some encouragement from the teacher who sort of, I guess, pushes her to try harder and to write more sensitively and to write about something more exciting. So what she decides to do is write about her experience of going, I guess you could say, undercover as a boy in this high school. During this experience, she makes friends with a guy called Rick and eventually realizes she kind of has feelings for him. She sort of tries to get him some dates, which is quite fun. But yeah, she ends up liking him. Her boyfriend eventually finds out. A girl who hit on her eventually finds out. Rick eventually finds out. And it all kind of unravels. But she does win the competition. Her article gets published. And she, at the end of it, she starts dating this guy, Rick. And yeah, it all kind of works out in the end. She also gets a great haircut.
Yes.
And she starts the movie at the start of the 80s with a big, long, poofy haircut and ends it towards the end of the 80s with a much shorter pixie crop.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just one of the guys.
Just one of the guys.
Now, we obviously plan in advance what films we're going to talk about.
Yes.
And every time you've mentioned to me that this film is coming up, you've kind of made this sort of like a weird noise / expression of like, ooh, which suggests to me that you were quite interested to see how this was going to turn out.
Well, yeah. I've been really curious to see two things. One, what's this movie like? Because I couldn't remember. And two, knowing what the plot was, whether or not it would stand up to, like, would it be a good story that, because this is the 80s, right? So you're always worried that, like, oh, that storyline could be still fine and actually have a good message. Or will it just sort of, like, completely just 80s it up? And it will be a little bit floppy and a little bit unnecessary and a little bit annoying. But on the whole, I kind of liked it.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't perfect, and there's things I would do differently if I were, say, you know, a co-host of a podcast where we watch movies and twist the plot to see who could make them better. But there were things that I didn't hate about it, and there was things that I thought were kind of funny as well.
Okay.
What did you think?
I really liked it.
Right?
Yeah, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I actually, so I kind of kept going back and rewatching bits of it, I think, to kind of make sure that I got it right. Right. There were a few moments where something happened and I was like, ooh, that might have been a bit weird. And then I kind of skip back a bit, and then I do this a lot, and my partner absolutely hates it. And then I sort of was like, okay, no, it was this. That's what was happening.
Yeah. Let's get into it. What were the things that, you know, that you liked? What would you like about it?
I think that it would be probably wrong for me to describe this as progressive in the sense that I wasn't alive in the time it came out, and I'm not really qualified to say exactly like if it was or not. However, I do know that a lot of gay and trans women have kind of created a bit of a cult following around this film, and it's been quite significant in that regard. I also know that, you know, from my perspective as a kind of super sensitive snowflake who is watching films from the past going, oh, please don't say anything racist, please don't say anything offensive, oh, I can't cope, oh, please don't do it, I just want to enjoy the film. I felt pretty safe, if that makes sense. I felt like there were points where things could have gone badly and become offensive, and they just didn't. A key example being perhaps when towards the end of the film, Terry goes to the prom with her friend Denise in a tux, still acting as male Terry. and then kisses her boyfriend, I think. And then Rick sees them kissing, and goes, "Oh, okay." And then Terry takes him aside for a chat, and he goes, "Oh, I get it, you're gay." And then Terry goes, "No, it's not that. It's actually not that." And he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I am confused then."
Now I'm confused.
And it's like, oh, thank God you were chill about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But then slightly later, in the same sort of sequence, there's a bit where he says, "Oh, it's okay. She's got boobs."
Right.
About the guy.
About
Terry. Yeah. Which is obviously not great because it's like, well, you shouldn't have to explain yourself.
Guys, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. She's got boobs, Whoa,
but
don't
you
worry.
could also read it as he's saying, "Oh, don't freak out. I know you were all homophobes."
Right.
But I'm not sure that it is that. I think it is a bit more him saying, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not gay." But it's that. So it's like those two specific moments. I think it felt like it's very much towing the line of maybe what would have been seen as acceptable in 1985.
Sure.
Without it being, it's almost like you can't ask for too much. You can't have unreasonable standards for something which is a product of its time. But I feel like it was probably pretty progressive.
It had to have
at the time.
It had to have been. It was 1985, right? I'll tell you what. There's a couple things I really liked about it. The first was it twisted what you thought was going to happen. You doing the recap just now, like when she submitted the essay as girl, she was like, and probably rightly so, they didn't pick my article because I'm girl. And then when she submitted it as boy Terry, it also didn't get like the thing she thought was going to happen didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? Which was really interesting. Like, and in my mind, I'm like, it's 1985. I get it. She's going to dress up like a boy. She's going to go over there, hand in the essay, and it'll be like, oh, great essay. But that didn't happen. And I wasn't expecting that to happen. I really enjoyed that a lot. The other thing is, I can see why people would watch this and get really, why a lot of people would look at this film and it like is like a cult film for them. Terry dressed up as a boy to prove a point, but I imagine people watched this film and went, "Whoa, okay, this is content for me," and specifically, and content that you wouldn't see. That's not, despite there being a lot of movies about so-called cross-dressing, or whatever that term, that outdated term. This is a little bit different. This was a high school film where I'm sure people watched it and went, "Oh wow, okay, there are actual options for me in the world." You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure lots of trans people related to the experience of, walking into a locker room that's a complete foreign experience. Like, I'm sure you probably picked up on the fact that this is, it's very loosely based, if not a reference to 12th Night, which...
Whoa, we're back there again, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which the film which instantly I thought of, which we will come to in our next season, and I'm extremely excited for you to see, which is She's the Man.
Ooh, which I've never seen.
No, you've never seen it. And
but I'm aware of it. The same thing, right?
Yes. Well, She's the Man is very much it is based on 12th Night, and it is a complete sort of reinterpretation, and the story is the same, and all the characters are directly translated, and some of them even have the same names. Whereas this is more just a reference in that it's the experience of a woman pretending to be a man and experiencing romantic relationships and different treatment based on that experience. And it's something that I find absolutely fascinating. I am very interested in social issues, gender issues, LGBTQ plus issues. I find all of it really fascinating. So I thought it was a really interesting and very thorough presentation of what that experience would be like, and so many little moments that were really sort of quite interesting to see. And I don't know if this is odd to admit, but I kept thinking I would love to do that. I would love to press, there's that there's a song, I think it's the Taylor Swift song, which is just like, if I was the man, that song. And it's just like, what would it be like to experience male privilege for a day? As well as just, it would be intriguing to see, you know, what life is like for people on the other side of the societally enforced gender binary. But like, yeah, it is interesting. And it's weird. I think, I don't know if any other women listening would relate to this, because for me, I'm obviously, if you hadn't guessed, I identify as a feminist, and quite passionately.
Really?
Oh, really? Oh, what a surprise. And you almost feel a bit like maybe you're betraying that by saying that you would like to experience male privilege, but
isn't that all? Doesn't that all go hand in hand? I mean, listen, you know, like we're talking about wanting to just have a little taste of how the other half lives, if you will. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it would be incredibly interesting as well.
So my question for you is, and we've obviously talked about our experiences of gender before, do you remember feeling at any point out of place in, let's say, like the boys' locker room scenario where there's lads?
Oh, do I remember? I mean, geez Louise, I could write a short play about it called I don't want to take a shower, Coach, the musical, right? Because it would be a musical. I know, well, you know, I'm not really like a sports guy, you know, and when I was a kid, I don't know if they do this now. I really hope they don't do this now. Okay, please tell me they don't do this now. But when I was a kid in the 90s, in gym class, in elementary school and high school, you go out and play, you know, shirts and skins, which in and of itself was not very fun. That's a real thing, by the way, right? Half of you shirts, half of you take your shirts off and play basketball, right? And I think it was just seen as like,
could they not afford bibs? Like,
nope. Half shirts, half skins. And that sucks. But then even worse than that, afterwards, just like everyone take a shower in an open, like prison like room with just showers coming out of the walls. And I just remember thinking, I'm not supposed to be nude with all my classmates. That's not fine. We can't do this and then go to math class. You know, we were just naked together fully for a while, you know? And you know, if you played your cards just right, you could skip it and pretend you did take a shower. And that's what sometimes people did, because you'd rather smell than have to be around other people. Like, that's just, you know, call me old-fashioned or call me new-fashioned. Don't call me anything. Just call me for dinner. What's the phrase? Not too late, though. I don't want to be in a shower situation with other people. Am I wrong? You know?
I definitely felt like femininity was a box that I didn't always fit into, because of how rigid those rules were in my school, in terms of like, because I think a big reason for that is because like sexualization is such a huge part of it. Particularly, and like, sorry if this is making anyone uncomfortable, I do apologize, but like, particularly if you are a young woman and you suddenly are forced into a body that is much more sexual than your brain is, because instantly the world starts seeing you as a woman and as a readily available sexual object.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, I remember thinking, like, I have the brain of a kid. I have the brain of an 8-year-old kid who wants to play in the sandpit and, you know, look at horses and do paintings, and people are, like, staring at my boobs and stuff like that. And that's a really awful, traumatic experience that women so regularly have to go to. Even, you know, particularly if you're cis, then it's one thing, but if you're not, it's even more sort of terrifying. So but then there's all these other social rules that come as part of, you know, being a woman. And it's I always remember feeling like something's just not right, something isn't right here. I don't quite fit in with this somehow. And then I thought about it a lot when I was older, and I was like, okay, well, is it because of my gender identity? Is it because of my sexuality? What is it because of? And then I was like, oh, it's just because it's all like bullshit.
It's just men.
It's
just
all
because of men.
crap. Like it's not. Well, it's just it doesn't. It's not real. None of it's real because it's so much of it. So much of it is about enforcing rules that are made up, that are overhangs from historical periods which we are no longer in, that have formed over time and just been continually accepted. And so, yeah, it was very much that I was like, oh, it's not that I'm in the wrong body, or it's just because gender isn't real. It doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It's all made up. And I just feel like if that was something that society was ever able to accept, we would be all so much healthier and happier. And you know, and another thing, I'm sure I've spoken about this before, which is that, like, you know, segregation of male and female children, putting them into certain boxes, telling them that each other is only there for dating, it robs people of forming some really like special and great relationships. Like, I think, you know, I certainly kind of struggled to make friends with girls when I was at school. I know a lot of other girls who felt the same way. And I also feel like for boys, they are never given they're not given the opportunity to form relationships with women at an incredibly crucial stage in their life, which aren't focused on sex and dating. If you were allowed to have female friends, if it was okay to have female friends, you would be able to, you'd access this whole world of amazing stuff. And I think that's part of the reason why I like films like this so much, like Just One of the Guys and like She's All That. It's because you actually get to see a teenage man connecting with a woman with no suggestion of any sexual relationship. It's entirely platonic. And you get to see, and for me, I get to see the way that a woman would be treated in that situation. And it's actually kind of painful for me, because there's been so many times in my life where I've tried to have that kind of relationship and have either been judged for it, or it's gone wrong, or it's you know, society doesn't like it. Is what I'm saying. And so in summary, gender is stupid and gender binary isn't real and it's all made up and I hate it. But I like this film and I liked her haircut a lot.
It was a very good haircut. It's very good. I hear you. There's one thing that I like about this movie more than anything else. And I just want to put it on your radar. I'd really love your thoughts. Okay. Oh, no, two things. The guy from...
Was it the kissing fish?
No, but I did quite like that too. No, I liked. The bully kid was what's his name from the Karate Kid, right? Yes, that was great, right? And also from Cobra Kai, which you should definitely watch. And then, but the thing I really just was transfixed by, okay, so there's these 3 kids in this movie.
Yes,
2 of whom legitimately act like they're from another planet the whole time, okay?
Yes.
And the 3rd one keeps producing reptiles.
Do you mean the character Reptile?
Yeah. No. Reptile, but his full name was Harold Reptile Sherbako. Yeah. Like, what the hell was going on?
Yep.
Like,
I loved it. I loved them. Fantastic.
For no reason.
So good.
Like, the teacher asks the alien kids, will you summarize Catcher in the Rye? And he goes, Catcher in the Rye is a book that humans have to read, which we didn't because we were drinking fermented hops. Like, so weird. And then Reptile Guy keeps bringing out snakes. His gym teacher's like, you can't bring the alligator to gym again, you know?
Yeah, it's all just accepted. It's just fun, and like he comes out of the shower and he's got an iguana or something on a lead, and it's just like, okay, that's the Reptile Guy. I loved it. I loved particularly those 3 characters, how they weren't judged. They weren't judged by the film.
Nope.
You know, like we saw the nerd kids being bullied.
Sure.
But the film itself wasn't mocking them, I think.
No, they were just a cool group of kids who were just being themselves.
I was like, I know who I would want to hang out with in this film. I would so be with the nerd dudes. Yeah, it's just really good. I just really enjoyed it.
It's really good.
It's just really good.
It's a really good movie. Yeah. That's going to make it hard to twist. But that's fine.
I think I'd probably watch it again, actually.
So would I.
Don't think I would say from many of these.
I'd show somebody this movie.
I would recommend this to someone and be like, you can watch this and not feel like, oh my God, I'm telling them to watch something which is going to be
You want to watch a movie that wasn't upsetting from the 80s, that was about teenagers? You could do a lot worse than Just One of the Guys.
Do you want to be just one of the guys? Just one of the crew? Just one of the club? The Plot Twisters Club. Join us on social media at Plot Twisters Pod to be just one of our crew.
Sometimes we take a movie and we make it better, factually. Sometimes we take a movie and we make it goofily. Sometimes we think holistically, and sometimes we zero in on something very specific, right? All of those choices are right. You're stood in the middle of a crossroads, a bit like that place where that guy sold that thing to the devil. What was it? His soul? That one. Which direction are you feeling?
I don't think people really sell other things to the devil. Like, I don't know if the devil is buying anything else other than people's souls.
Fun fact about the devil, he collects those plates, those commemorative plates with people's faces on them.
Like the Jubilee plate.
Correct, yeah. He has to have each and every one of them.
Yeah.
So, you could sell him a
I'll
bicentennial
take your
plate.
soul,
Or
if you have the platinum anniversary of Liza Minnelli's wedding,
sure.
I will take that because that's the one I don't have.
I don't have that, but I do have the Princess Diana memorial set. So,
yeah. In multiple different colours and copies because I'm a fan.
I'm a fan. I'm a royalist. The soul, then. Yeah, the soul. Okay, fine. Yeah, here you go. But now I can play the
another one
fiddle like an absolute legend. Yeah. What do you got? Do you got any initial thoughts that
It's hard. It's difficult because I do think this film was very well put together, really, in terms of a plot. And it's also one that I know there's quite a few different variants of that it would be difficult to not stray into if we were to fiddle with it as it is.
Yeah.
However, we have done quite a lot of nonsense, really, so I feel like maybe we have to do
for a serious thing.
Do for a serious.
I do have an idea that isn't serious.
If it has any time travel in it.
It doesn't.
It's... Well... You are going to be ejected from...
No, I don't think it has any time travel.
Because I have a button here that says time travel on it. And if you get near it, I'm going to press it and you're going to rocket up into the air.
Oh, we really do need a time travel button. It's like when we're doing a plot twist and it's not going the way we want it to.
I'm going to press it.
Just press the time travel button.
I'm going to press it.
No. Imagine this, okay? I don't know if we've explored this concept fully, but I you know about prequels and you know about sequels, right?
I do.
Have we ever done a movie that's like a sequel that happens at an in-universe at the same time? Cool, right?
You're talking about a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Yes, I'm familiar with that name.
I think we have done one of those before.
Is that like a play within a play or something? Where like two things are happening at the same?
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are minor characters in Big Bill Bill's Hamlet.
Yes.
And then somebody made a play about them. And they're happening. Yes. It's happening in the background of Hamlet.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern situation. I'm just thinking about those alien guys and the guy with all the amphibians.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Like there needs to be a movie.
It was right there in front of us and we didn't see it. Oh my God, of course.
What's their deal? What planet are they from? Not time travel, I'm talking about space travel. Or are they just kids who think they're from space? Or are they just cool kids who that's their thing? And I want to know more about them. And I love the idea that there will be shots in the movie that we're making where Terry and all the other people are in the background. And they crisscross through it. But actually, this is a story about these three boys and their friendship and their animals.
Can I suggest an alternate idea which could also be a backup?
Sure.
If we could try the story and if we don't get anywhere then we could do my thing, or we could just do my thing. It's up to you.
Fine. Okay.
You're
fine.
in charge.
Yeah, right.
We come up with other kids at that school.
Fine. Yeah, no, absolutely.
That have a thing and what that thing might be.
Yeah, totally. But they have to be, it'd be great if they were the kids that we've already seen and or like, there's people.
No. I mean, and other kids, like more kids. So there's the reptile kid, and then there's also like the kid who's like an amateur balloonist. Yeah, and during the moment where she's running out onto the football pitch, in the background there's a guy who's trying to take off in a hot air balloon.
Do you remember when Terry first meets her like true love, right? Because she falls into that bush, you know? I don't know if you noticed.
He's in the bush.
There's like two kids that are like, the whole thing's they're trying to start a shrub society wherein they hide in the shrubs.
A shrubbery?
Exactly. We're the knights who said that thing. And they get so good at hiding in the bushes that the school removes them from the like student body and assume that they've moved or transferred or something. And then they show up at graduation and there's this whole thing because they can't get their diplomas, but they're all covered in leaves. You know?
That's interesting. Yeah, no, I didn't notice that. Did you notice, actually, this is actually a deleted scene, so you might not have watched the deleted scenes, but it's the bit where Terry takes Rick shopping for his new outfits.
Yeah.
And they go to a fashion shop where there is actually another high school student who is doing a kind of internship as a fashion designer.
Right.
And his thing is like super edgy, out there fashion, and like has all these incredible outfits, and like every day he dresses up as like a completely different like style. And so you do actually see him throughout the film, but it's really hard to notice it's the same guy because it's like, oh look, there's a jock, but then the next day, he's a nerd. Oh, now he's like a super sciencey guy. Oh, now he's a ballerina. Oh, now he's coming in and he's dressed up as one of the teachers. And he's like a camouflage, but it's because he's like a really avant-garde fashionista.
Oh, and the film credit, if you look, it's like, you know, everybody's name and they have the person they played, but that person's IMDb credits are like really long because they played 27 people.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, at the end of the movie when the little horny brother gets picked up by that woman on a motorcycle, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of taking a ride with Terry and their boyfriend in the car.
Yes.
Did you know that there's this whole bit because she had just ridden literally across the country because she's one of those people that transports like kidneys and stuff, you know, for medicine.
Oh, wow.
And she had taken a kidney from Salem, Oregon, all the way to the East Coast. No, wait. She had to drive from Salem to probably New Jersey to pick up the kidney and then back to California. And she had just finished the job, and it was like a pretty grueling one. And there's a really great scene where, like, at one point, the kidney falls off the motorcycle and almost gets run over by a truck, and so she has to jump in front of the truck to save the kidney. It's really harrowing. And at the end, she just wants to just go home and like just have a nap, you know, and relax until she meets Terry's little brother, and then they go off and have pancakes. Did you know that?
Right. No, I didn't know that. Just another thing I was just suddenly remembered, just completely out of blue. I can't believe we actually didn't talk about this in the first half of the episode. But you know that bit where the jock is flipping over tables in the cafeteria and then Rick stands up and calls them out?
Cobra Kai
I don't know if you notice in the background, this is actually like a little Easter egg for you. But it was actually the Blue Man Group went to that school.
Oh, no, really? For real?
And it was the Teenage Blue Man Group.
We're just out of shot.
No, they were there. Oh. They're just not blue yet.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and I love it so much. Pre-Blue Man Group. They were regular boys.
It's just three guys.
It's just three guys.
Is there three of them, or is there four? I think there's three of them.
I think their whole thing is that you can't quite count how many blue men there are.
They swap in and out.
There's so many.
It's definitely them, though. They're uncredited, but they are there. They're
just so amazing when you spot them and you realize for the first time what was happening. That's so cool. That's so good. Hey, did you remember that scene from Back to the Future when do you remember when Marty McFly plays Johnny Be Good, and then the guy calls his friend, his cousin, and he goes, "You got to listen to this," you know? Mm-hmm. Did you know that the scene when they went to the prom and there was that band playing, they were the warm-up band, and that other band was about to play, and Marty McFly, you can just see him just off stage, and you can see the hoverboard in the top left-hand corner for a second, but people online think that it was just like a light flare, but it was there.
Really interesting.
And then he goes out and plays that song, and then he plays Earth Angel, and his kids are like, his mom and dad are like, we didn't like that music, but see you in the future, I guess. We won't recognize you, even though you'll look exactly like our kid. You'll look exactly the same, but it'll be fine. You'll be wearing the same clothes too. But it's fine.
Also in that cafeteria scene.
Yeah, exactly. Big scene. So much happened.
There was loads going on. They nearly did that thing, which is like where they do a tour of the cafeteria, but it was too long, so they had to cut it because it was too much.
It was too much. Yeah, it was too much. Yeah.
On one of the tables, when the bully is coming around and flipping over tables, one of the ones that he's about to flip over, there's somebody sitting at the table who really freaks out because they're really worried.
Yep.
And they're actually one of those people who, I don't know if you're familiar with this. Those people on TikTok who cut up soaps.
Yeah, for soothing.
Yeah, it was one of those people.
Satisfying.
It was one of those people. They had like a bunch of different coloured soaps, and they had like a blade, and they're like cutting it up and going like.
Were they doing sand? Also, were they doing sand?
But it was like, because it was the 80s, so they have like a massive camcorder, and they're filming themselves cutting up soap with like this huge camcorder, and they're like having to change the tapes quite quickly because obviously there's like, and then there's like a massive microphone getting all the sounds, and then they have to like put it onto VHS and then edit the VHS and then send it off to a company that then makes like compilation VHSs that you can subscribe to in the mail. Right. And then so like what you basically do is like once a month you get this VHS and then you put it in your TV and you can watch people cutting up soap. And it was one of those people.
Wow. And you could just be like, I'm just watching my feed, just looking at my feed, my VHS feed. Wow. Side note, I've been getting a lot of content where it's like people cutting watermelons in really interesting ways lately.
Oh, cool.
And like they'll chop, and then sort of shift it slightly, and it just fans out, and it looks amazing. Hey, did you know in that same scene in the cafeteria, you didn't see it because it like went kind of blurry, but right at the end, after they make fun of that guy who was making fun of everybody and flipping tables, they flip all the tables over, and just for a second, all the tables on the underside of all the tables. And they're all come together, and it's actually an original Banksy that was one of the first Banksies. Yeah. And then, but you could just see it for a second, and that one was sold at auction for $3.5 million.
In the background of that moment where you notice it's a Banksy, there was actually also a bunch of people who were playing Quidditch.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
That people in colleges and stuff came up with a land version of Quidditch for Muggles. And it was actually J.K. Rowling saw that,
and that's where she got the idea
in the film. Just when they did, that's where she got the idea.
Did you know that Terry cut the quaffle right before she kisses that guy, and then they realized that actually she's a girl? She was holding it in her left hand.
Did you know that there's also a minor character who appears right at the start, who's in one of the classrooms, who has like this big device in their hand that looks like a big remote control, and it's it's a ghost detector, and they're ghost hunting.
I did not know that, but I could sense the ectoplasm. Did you know that the guy that Terry falls in love with is actually being played genuinely by a woman, but the makeup's been done really well.
Did you know that Terry is actually 3 kids in a coat?
Did you know that girl Terry and boy Terry are actually twins, and that's how they did it? But they're both they're both girls. Did
you know that Terry is actually played by the 2 kissing fish?
Yeah. Did you know that one of the kissing fish directed this movie?
And the other one wrote it.
Exactly. Yeah, and the gravel in the bottom of the bowl was the costume director.
Did you know that this film was actually 2 kissing fish?
Did you know that this entire movie was just a photograph that I sent to you in the mail of 2 kissing fish?
Did you know that this podcast episode that you're listening to right now plays the character Terry in the film, just one of the guys?
Exactly. Did you know that if you play this movie backwards, it's actually a rough draft to the Declaration of Independence?
Are you more of a boy Terry or more of a girl Terry? I feel like I'm more boy Terry.
Yeah. Ooh.
I think you're more girl Terry.
I could be more girl Terry. And you know why? Because girl Terry is a little bit, I think sometimes she's too agreeable with people around her and not saying exactly what she should be saying. And I do that a lot too. I try to be nice, but inside I'm thinking,
people pleasing.
Yeah. You know, that's why I carry this tray of brownies with me wherever I go. I just want people to like me. Would you like a brownie?
No.
Okay.
Now what are you going to do?
Okay. Well.
No, I would actually like one if that's okay. I'm going to come clean here. I Googled weird hobbies.
What?
Because I was trying to think of stuff for kids in this film to do, and I'd love to go through some of these with you.
Okay, please.
We've got a lot to get through, so I'm going to have to really blast.
Okay.
Number 1, collecting navel fluff. One Australian man, Graham Barker, has been collecting his own navel fluff since 1984. His stored collection weighs 22.1 grams, which is why this hobby had to be ranked number 1 weirdest hobby.
I bet he has more fluff than friends. Sorry, Graham.
Extreme ironing.
Ooh.
Mooing.
Yeah.
Beetle fighting.
What?
Collecting in-flight sick bags.
That's fun. I love that.
Toy voyaging, which is when you have a toy and you send it around the world.
That's fun too.
Other people host your toy and take it places.
Yeah, great.
Soap carving.
Yeah.
Quidditch. You can see where I got my ideas from now.
Yeah.
News raiding. This is one where people do stuff to try and get on the news.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Dirt polishing.
What are you doing with your life?
You get a ball of dirt and then you polish it until it's things. Like rocks and stuff. Fork bending, geocaching, extreme couponing, witchcraft, painting rocks.
Those are such different things. Extreme couponing, witchcraft.
Entomology. Hate that.
Because bugs.
Don't F with bugs.
Yeah.
Tattooing vehicles.
What?
Train surfing.
No. That's
element collecting, which is when you try and collect every single element on the periodic table. Ghost
even
hunting,
all the
tree
lanthanides
shaping,
and the other
noodling.
One? Such as eating
What do you
noodles.
think? What do you think noodling
I do that
is?
all the time. Becoming a noodle, wiggling like a noodle. What are you guys up to? Noodling.
That's actually what we both joined the same noodling class, and that's how we're friends. It's when it's actually bare hand fishing.
Oh,
you just
that
stand in water and you grab a fish.
Stick your hand and you
noodling.
pull out a crawfish. Yeah.
Competitive dog grooming, duck herding. When you herd a duck.
Boring.
And then the last one is cryptocurrency, which isn't that weird. But yeah, so there you go. Some pretty unusual hobbies. Which one of those would you do? I think I'd probably have to go for
obviously extreme couponing, if that were a thing here. You buy like 15 carts worth of stuff and then it costs you $1. I love that. Didn't you ever watch that show? It gets me going every time. That and Storage Wars.
The amount of administration that would have to go into doing that, I don't think that would be for me. I just couldn't.
I mean, that
I was going to say mine would probably be mooing, because I feel like that's the easiest one.
Just moo.
Lowest risk,
yeah.
highest reward.
Yeah, it's fun too. Who doesn't like to moo?
Well, I think we've come up with something. We've filled this world, Just One of the Guys, which was a pretty good movie, a pretty good story, pretty good characters, and we filled it with more beautiful, weird, and wonderful things in the background for you to look out for the next time you watch it, which you definitely should if you haven't.
Agreed.
And that just leaves us here, in this place, right now, which is this. Anders.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 5 plates of messy spaghetti, how many plates of spaghetti would you rate the film Just One of the Guys?
As a surprising 4. Good movie. Liked it. Didn't know what to expect. Enjoyed it. I'd watch it again. Give it a 4.
Nice.
What about you?
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought long and hard. I was going to go for a 4, but I feel like the half is in honor of the incredibly low expectations I had coming into this film and how much they were exceeded.
Yeah.
And it's not to say, it's like, again, you have to view these things as a product of their time. I think this was doing pretty good in 1995.
I agree.
So, good job. Just One of the Guys, and Lisa Gottlieb, who is the director.
Yes, Lisa Gottlieb. Make more movies. Because it doesn't look like she has lately.
Yeah.
She's probably busy, though.
It's
got a lot going on.
hard being a woman in the film industry, so, we can't blame her for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, she's having to rewrite all of those other spin-offs that are now part of the part of the Just One of the Guys cinematic universe.
Apparently this is the thing, that we say things and then they become real, and every film that we seem to have talked about in the past 2 seasons of this podcast is suddenly being rebooted out of nowhere, which is super weird.
This movie is going to happen again, okay? And let's just be, when it happens and it's like called Just One of the, well, I don't know even what they're going to do. It's probably just going to be Just One of the Guys again. Just
one of the dolls, and it's like from Guys and Dolls.
Exactly. Just one of them. That's dumb. That's so good. It's going to be just one of the something. It's going to happen, and you and I are going to call each other and be like, text each other and be like, see, they did it again. They keep making our things.
We keep speaking things into existence. We are very proficient manifestors. So, listeners, write in and tell us what you want, and we'll say it on this podcast, and then it will happen.
This is Eat, Pray, Love. This is Eat, Pray, Love, right? Will it, want it, do it. Wish it, want it, say it, and it will be a thing. I like to imagine that there's some really beautiful, like, not dissimilar to the Disney vault, but like some sort of a beautiful showcase, wall, shelf, somewhere where every time you and I twist a movie and come up with a plot, this sort of like glittering light flashes, and then that movie actually exists and it's on the shelf ready for someone to rent and buy and watch. And
there's some sort of weird caretaker shuffling around. And every now and again something, the window lights up, the skylight lights up, and the caretaker looks up and goes, oh, another one coming in. And then it beams down, and she walks over to the shelf and looks at the thing and squints and adjusts her glasses, and then just goes, no. And just takes it off the shelf and just chucks it straight in the bin.
And occasionally it's not a movie. It's like that time when we invented that T-shirt subscription service.
She's like, a T-shirt subscription service? Really? Really? Come on. And she yells at the window and goes, who are these people? What are they doing?
With glow-in-the-dark ink, and then each one tells you the next part of the movie. That was fun. Well,
hopefully one day we'll get to visit that wonderful warehouse.
I'll be there with bells on.
Yeah, and we'll feel both incredibly proud and also deeply ashamed.
Yep.
And we hope that that's how you feel, listener, after listening to this episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you have the time.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye. Throw me the pom-pom ball. Ooh, it's so squishy.